What's up, everybody? How are we? How are we? D. Lynn is here. Roel, I see you. What's going on, guys? Making sure we are on um, all the platforms. I'm not seeing any Facebook people yet, so we'll let some Facebook people come in. How's everybody doing? We got a wonderful show tonight on a very uh, chilly and rainy evening. So I'm actually excited about this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Lisa, what's going on? Thank you so much for sharing. Lisa, that means a whole lot. Sharing means a whole lot to us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out. Deborah, what's going on? Great to see you. Linda, hello. Great to see you, Linda. Love seeing Linda. She's family. Hello, seeing everybody. Excited about the show this evening. Jack, thank you so much for watching. We're going to have a wonderful show. We got a few questions to get to before we get to the live questions tonight. Lauren, what's going on? Great to see you. Bianca, hello from Nashville. Carol, it's a rainy evening. So I'm really thankful that I get to do this with you guys tonight. Michelle, what's going on? Great to see you. Great to see you. I believe, Michelle, you're from Oak Ridge. Correct me if I'm wrong. I grew up in Oak Ridge, I believe, with your family. Great to see everybody. D. Lynn, smash that like button. Share and share. Katie, what's going on? Black Friday deals. Katie's favorite week of the year is coming up. And I think, we all know how important Katie is to the show, how much she means to the show. So show her some love by just telling her that you're going to take advantage of our Black Friday sales, because I know that'll make her happy. Looking forward to a wonderful week next week for Black Friday. I'm actually going to put that up here for you. Let's see where. Oh, there we go. Thank you, team. Black Friday sale is all next week, November 21 through the 25th. We're running sales on most everything. We just finished a video with Katie that we're going to put out hopefully in the next 24 to 48 hours. You guys should be seeing that. And I've been getting some comments about this flyer in particular. We are going to put this on Facebook as well as Instagram and have that there for people to see. So we'll put that up throughout the show. And let's see here. I want to, we had such a great Tuesday. As you guys know, on our YouTube channel, all of our videos go up at Tuesday at 8 a.m. And then we send out the Performance Weekly, which is a curation of all of our content that goes out around 1 o'clock, 1 to 2:30, depending on how long these beautiful thumbnails take us. And this is one of my favorite thumbnails of all time. Supplements for performance. This is Dive Into Diet with nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt. In this, he goes over 3 supplements for performance in GABA, caffeine, and citrulline malate. Really fascinating take on how Lucas uses these performance enhancers that are legal. So check that out. Really fun episode. And this is a little bit of a mix of like a holiday gift idea episode, but also a peek into how Dr. Rogers uses these wearable devices for his own health. He focuses a lot of this episode on the Oura Ring, as I'm sure you guys have seen him wear, whether you've seen him in person or on the show. He's always wearing his Oura Ring. He kind of walks us through how he goes over his results each morning. So it's a super fascinating episode. And also, if you're looking for gift ideas for loved ones, an Oura Ring, any sort of health monitor that is wearable is kind of cool. This one was a really special episode with our good friend Jamie Winship. You guys have heard us talk a lot about Jamie. He's been on our Outside the Box podcast, I believe 5 times now. This might be the 6th. And this episode was on the intuitive mind. And it's a part 1 of a 2-part series on the intuitive mind and the rational mind. And we talk about pioneering. We talk about being creative, and then how to actually use that creativity to bring hope into our lives. So it kind of goes back to joy and hope. I loved that conversation, and you guys are going to love the part 2 as well. So I hope you guys will check that out. It was a really, really special episode for me in particular. And I'm sure you'll be able to tell when you see it. Katie's saying just eat beef liver. It covers everything. And I've actually heard this, and I'm telling you, I'm close. I'm close to going the beef route, especially after last week's episode on the carnivore diet. Obviously, Katie and Ben Curtis, they're getting my wheels turning around the carnivore. Mason, man, thank you so much. I'm gonna put this up. Thank you so much. I agree. I think he is the best. Seems you saw him today. So cool. Dr. Mayo, thank you for being here, man. All right, let's see. I think we got Doc ready to roll. And we'll get to some questions. As you guys know, we take live questions during the show. This is a performance medicine show, and it wouldn't be the performance medicine show unless we took live questions. So we're going to get to all your questions here, including yours, Steve. Thank you for hanging out with us, man. Always good to see you in here. All right, we're going to get rolling. What's going on?
Hey, Ben. Look who came up and jumped in my lap. Yeah, he just jumped in my lap. Usually he comes on at the end of the show, but he jumped in here tonight.
Ike, do you know you're on the podcast now? Does he know?
I don't think he knows.
For all of you who don't know, see, Lisa saw this coming. Be sure to include Dr. Ike's appearance. He's here at the beginning. Ike, you're already getting some love.
He is.
Everybody's excited about Ike being here. We'll see if he makes it. If he makes it the whole hour.
I don't know why he wants to get on the show so early. Usually he comes at the end, but I guess he just loves me.
He look at that. Come on, guys.
All right, Ike, we got to get on with the show. I got a feeling it's going to be a really big show tonight.
I'm excited about tonight's show. I talked to you earlier, and you were like, you had some energy about tonight's show, and I'm excited. It got me pumped.
I did.
You're like, this is going to be the best performance medicine show of all time. And one is I can feel the energy around, Black Friday. We're all starting to, get that energy. Holiday season, it's the biggest week of the year, performance medicine. And I think there's just a lot of energy in all of our offices and on this show with you and talking to Katie. So I'm sure some of it's coming from that. But also I know some of it's coming from, just getting to answer some of these health and wellness questions. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I mean, I think we're all getting in the Christmas spirit, and, we got to do something because it's cold and dark outside. I can't go ride my bike tonight. So.
It's too cold. It's too cold tonight.
It's too cold.
Okay. I want to put this up here because this came in a couple days ago, and I've been wanting to answer this question and get your thoughts on it. The question is, what do you think about the new release of info regarding B6 being toxic? We talk a lot about the B vitamins. First, can you tell us which one B6 is? Because I think there's 8. Is there 8? 12?
No, there's actually 12. Yeah.
12?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on this? I
don't know. I haven't seen the new release of that info, but we've known for years that B6, you can get too much of it or too little of it. it's weird because, I always tell people if they're having a neuropathy, like a peripheral neuropathy from having diabetes or nerve injuries or carpal tunnel or any of those, to think about taking some B6. And the thing about it, though, that we learned years ago is that if you take too much of it, and you can, um, then you'll have the symptoms of low B6 with high B6. Like you could make your neuropathy worse by taking too much of it. So certainly that information has been out there. Those are some other weird things I've seen about B6 being, is it hard on your heart or does it cause cancer? No, I don't think it does. But um, I mean, like anything, you could take too much of anything. Um, but the fact is that, um, if you do if you do take B6, you need to think about how much you're taking. The studies I've seen that have caused toxicity, in other words, make neuropathy worse, maybe even cause seizures, you have to take a really high dose of it, probably over 1,000 milligrams a day. Um, I don't think they've seen anything bad happen under 500 milligrams a day. A lot of supplements come in 100 milligrams, which I think is fine. You get some of it in your food. But, a lot of people that drink energy drinks all day, they could get too much of B6. So that is out of the B vitamins, that's the one that you could potentially take too much of. Of course, if you take too much niacin B3, you'd have a lot of flushing. So you're taking too much of it. But on B6, it could be kind of subtle. So if you're taking a lot of extra B6, I certainly wouldn't take over 100 milligram extra. And you get B6 in your food as well through meat, eggs, vegetables, potatoes, that type of thing. But that's a good point. I'm glad somebody brought that up because you certainly could have too much B6. You could always check a level of B6. And I don't have my levels in front of me, so I'm not sure what the normals are on the Quest lab, but certainly don't take more than 100 milligram. You may even just need 50. Some people just think you need 2, but let your symptoms be the guide. And if you're deficient in it, you're going to feel better. People that get deficient in B6 can have dry skin. They can have cheilitis, which means your tongue gets irritated. So that's a great point. You certainly could get too much B6. You'd have to have a lot of it over a period of time. Remember, it's a water-soluble vitamin, but you certainly could. You could take too much of it, and it could make the symptoms that you're taking B6 for, namely neuropathy. It can make them worse if you took too much of it. So that's a really good point, that people need to think about. You could overdo anything, but B6 out of all the B vitamins, it's one that you're going to start thinking, am I taking too much of this? That'd be, I think, kind of rare. If you read the reports, some people think it's not as rare as that. But so if you're not feeling good and you're taking vitamins, always think, what have I added lately, or how long have I been taking this? That's kind of why I think you ought to at least take vitamins 6 days a week, and so you won't get kind of tolerant to them as well. But that's a great point. If you're worried about it, you can even get levels checked.
Yeah, that's something you say a lot, like
The form of vitamin B6, I think it's pyridoxal L-phosphate. There's different forms of B6, and I think it's pyridoxal L-phosphate's the one that you want. And that's certainly the one we have.
I'm going to put this up.
There's a reference range. Okay.
With a range for adults over 18 with Quest. Thank you, Katie, for putting that in there. And if you guys have any more questions on YouTube, I'll put this up again if you guys need it.
That's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Katie. Great question. Let's see here. let's go to the next one. We got two questions here for the postmenopausal female. The first is, what would you like to see the DHEA level be for a postmenopausal female? And the DHEA is something that we might not talk enough about. It's super important, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it stands for dihydroepiandrosterone. And it's an important adrenal vitamin, meaning it's made in the adrenal glands. It's really a precursor. It comes from cholesterol, like most every hormone. DHEA is a little different because you can get it supplements over the counter as well. But with postmenopausal females, they're going to make less of their hormones, including DHEA. And DHEA is a precursor to both estrogen and testosterone, probably more so with testosterone. So in some women that are a little bit low in testosterone and don't want to supplement with testosterone, then I'll just give them a little DHEA. You can get too much of this. I don't recommend orally more than about 15 milligrams of DHEA for a female. If you've had breast cancer, I wouldn't recommend any of it really. There is a form of it called keto DHEA. It doesn't really work. It's a problem with that one. But so I don't really put many people on keto DHEA. But DHEA is a really important precursor hormone. Certainly, it could cause it's like testosterone. It could cause a little thinning of your hair. I've had women that take 25, 50 milligrams, which is way too high, in my opinion, for a woman, and they start losing their hair. And they could start getting thinning of the hair, even in a little bit in the cream. If they tell me that, I'll take it out of the cream because I usually put 5 milligrams in the creams along with the bioidentical forms of estrogens, progesterone, and testosterone. So, I mean, it declines with your age. I mean, gosh, a young person, I think you really hit your max between 18 and 30. And those levels can be 300, and it just declines as you get older. So in postmenopausal females, your level could be under 100. And I certainly, if I was checking levels, and I do sometimes, and when you check a level, you have to check a DHEA/S. That's the only, when it bonds to that sulfite molecule, that's the only way to measure it because of lipids and solubility and that thing. But I like to see, around 200. If you start getting higher than that, you certainly could start having some side effects from it, like hirsutism, hair growth, too much hair on your face, not enough on top of your head, and acne and oily skin and some things like that. But DHEA is, I almost call it a feel-good hormone. It's definitely a precursor hormone. So maybe in the 200s, 250. Some people push it a little bit higher than that. I don't. So, if you're interested in that, certainly check some levels and see where you're at. But that's a really good question too, because it is a precursor hormone to your other hormones. And the amazing thing about it, you can get it over the counter. I really think it should be more regulated, but you can take it orally safely. So, great question. Great question.
Okay.
Check your level.
And the second one is it's a DHT level, and I misspelled its level. What would you like to see the DHT level be for a postmenopausal female?
Oh, okay. That's a DHT is called dihydrotestosterone. So that's totally different than DHEA. Dihydrotestosterone is a particular potent form of testosterone that you can convert testosterone into, that can cause a couple things. One is it can cause hair loss, and it can also cause your prostate to get enlarged if you're a male. So if you're converting some of the testosterone you're taking or some that you may be naturally producing, then it can certainly cause those side effects. I'd have to be looking at the Quest lab for the normal DHT levels, but I'm thinking you probably want to keep it maybe in the 10 to 20 range. I think it's nanograms per deciliter. I would have to look at the normals again, but and go by symptoms as well. If you're getting hair loss, whenever I start anybody on hormones, especially testosterone, if they're getting symptoms of hair loss, I will check a DHT level or prostatic enlargement. I will check a DHT level, but and you can put people on DHT blockers. Sometimes you see a higher level in PCOS, like you would even a DHEA level can be higher in PCOS. So, this hormone stuff gets kind of complex. But certainly if you want to fine tune things, you need to be looking at a lot of these hormone levels and see where you're at, because hormones control everything. And whether you're a teenager with too much of that, or whether you're on hormone replacement or an older person and you've converted all your testosterone to DHT, then you may have baldness, you may have a huge prostate. There's some natural, DHT blockers that can help you, as well as prescriptions. We think of the natural ones being things like pumpkin seed, saw palmetto, stinging nettle, zinc, and some of the prescription ones being like finasteride, dutasteride, spironolactone. So there's a lot of ways to treat it. So if you're having some of that, certainly check the levels and see where you're at. But depends on the lab. I think in the Quest lab, I like to see it around, well, there you go, female less than 20, men 12 to 65. That's about right. 8 to 10, I like to see in females. In men, if you if you go and walk into a bodybuilder gym, you'll notice that about 80% of the men in there are bald. That are heavy weightlifters. That's because they're taking too much testosterone and they're converting too much of it to DHT. In the other case, they could convert a lot of it to estradiol, and they could have gynecomastia and other bad side effects. And both of them can give you prostate enlargement. So that's a good question. That's a good question. This hormone stuff is you have to know what you're doing with it. Great. I hope that helped you.
It really does kind of go back to it's a balance. There's a balance of all the different types of hormones. So really thankful for those two questions. Hopefully that helps a lot of people on this show tonight. And that's going to do it for the questions that came in throughout the week. Thank you guys for emailing those to us. And I think one came on Facebook. So thank you guys for doing that. We're going to get to live questions here. So if you have a question for Dr. Rogers, go ahead and put it in the comments. We're going to get to every single one tonight. I can tell Doc has a lot of energy. So it's going to be, we're going to get to everything. So if you have a question for Doc, go ahead and put that in the comments, and I'm going to make sure I get to it. If I miss it, we'll have people on our team grab it for us. Okay, I'm going to start with, I think Lisa had a question to begin with. We'll start with Lisa here. Between gabapentin and Lyrica, which gives the best result for neuropathy pain and causes the least amount of swelling/fluid?
Probably Lyrica. Lyrica is just kind of it's in the same class, but Lyrica is kind of what I would say a new and improved gabapentin, Neurontin. And Lyrica comes in more of I think it's more, the doses are a little bit easier and it lasts a little bit longer. A lot of times with the gabapentin, you have to split it up and divide the doses, but in Lyrica, it's more of a extended release form. It was really expensive until I think it went generics. I think you can get it at a reasonable rate now, but probably Lyrica may be a little cleaner drug. They can both cause you to be tired. I see that more with gabapentin. These medicines are for neuropathies, but they treat a lot of different conditions with them. So I would say Lyrica, in my opinion, is more expensive, but maybe a little cleaner and cause a little less fluid retention and weight gain if you can get it.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for that question. Let's get to Mama B's Place on YouTube. Regarding B12, how do I know what form it is, methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin? This is something we love talking about this one. So I'll let you take it away regarding.
Yeah, methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin. Yeah, you look on the label and see what you're getting. If you're coming to my office, you're getting methylcobalamin. It's just a purer form of vitamin B12. There's so many people that don't methylate well, including me. I have that double mutation of the 677TT MTHFR gene, and probably 20-25% of us do. And probably 35-40% have one mutation on that allele. But definitely try to get methylcobalamin. You have to ask it. And if you go to most doctor's office for a B12 shot, you're going to get cyanocobalamin. And if you get that and you have that methylation defect, it's not going to be good for you. I always say, when you say the word cyanocobalamin, think cyanide, which is poison. I'm not saying cyanocobalamin is poison, but it's certainly not as pure a form as the methylcobalamin. So look on the label or ask your doctor what form they're using. Cyanocobalamin is just dirt cheap. So that's why most people are going to use it. But we use methyl in our office and in our vitamins as well.
All right. Great question there. And the context for that, for example, nutritional yeast has a lot of B's. For a little context around the question. Thank you for that, Mama B. Jack, I see you're here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Let's see, where am I at? Let's go to Dave's question here on Facebook. Can anything be done for folks with scleroderma? Have a loved one with it. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a toughie to treat. They're usually seeing a rheumatologist, and it's one of those kind of tough to deal with rheumatologic diseases. They really get a lot of sclerosis. That's where that term came from. They get really tight skin. It affects all their connective tissue. It's a toughie, but yeah, there's a lot of medicines that they use. One thing I'll try that's kind of outside the box that some of the rheumatology people don't use for some reason, probably don't know much about it, is low-dose naltrexone. We use that for most all autoimmune diseases. In a lot of cases, it really seems to help them. Somebody has scleroderma, they really need to see a rheumatologist and maybe even a dermatologist to look at that. But it's a toughie. But think, if you're not getting anywhere, think outside the box with something like LD and low-dose naltrexone as well.
Thank you for that question, Dave. I'm going to get to, let's see here, Roel's question. How long after COVID should I wait to start to work out, lift weights, etc.? I know this is a very common question. So thank you, Roel, for putting this in here.
I think I remember Roel saying that he did get COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would make sure when your energy levels come back, start to work out. I'd say within a week. I tell everybody that has COVID to get outside and walk, get sun. You didn't get much sun today probably, but be active, get out in the sun. The sun is your best source of vitamin D, of course, and breathing fresh air. But, I would go easy on the workouts until your energy levels come back. Certainly drink a lot of water. Make sure you're double doing your vitamins like C and D. Make sure you're on zinc. And I'd probably start out with a little mild cardio before I would do heavy weights for sure. I mean, that just zaps you. Maybe a little light cardio, a little bit on the bike, walking, and maybe then work into some stretch bands. There's a lot of bands. I use a ton of bands every day to try to keep flexible and maintain some strength before I lift heavier weights. I don't lift a lot of heavy weights anyway anymore, but I hope that helps you definitely within the week. Gosh, some people just have a pretty good long recovery from COVID. Usually when they get it the first time than when they have a second episode. The first time is the roughest. Um, but do all the other things that you need to do and work yourself into it. Let your energy levels kind of be a guide for you.
Roel, hope that helps. And I see your other question. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll probably message you on that one. And I think we're all caught up. So if you guys have a question, I know we've got quite a few people here. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Performance Medicine Show. If you've got a question for Dr. Rogers, please put it in the comments. For a second, I know you guys are wanting to look at these one more time. Black Friday sales happening November 21st through November 25th, all of next week at all of our locations. We have locations in Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol, Knoxville, and Fountain City. So take a look at these. We're going to be posting these everywhere, these flyers. So if you're a patient, not a patient, there's plenty of things that you can take advantage of. Again, it's our biggest sale of the year. And we're doing it all week long. So be sure to take advantage of that. And I see that Ray has a question. Thank you so much, Ray. Let's put him in here. My 24-year-old son has had eczema on his hands for years. Are there any vitamins or supplements he can take rather than steroid cream? Great question.
Yeah, they're always make sure that with eczema, which is an autoimmune type phenomena, that they're on their vitamins, like especially D, C, and zinc, those immune vitamins that I call them. You might even want to add some NAC, N-acetylcysteine, in there. I think that's a great one. Kind of bumps up your glutathione levels and your immune system. But really, they're coming up with some different creams that are prescription, but they're not steroids. And certainly I'd even consider using LDN, low dose naltrexone, because that's an autoimmune phenomena. And trying to find the root cause of the problem. A lot of times with this, it's the gut. So I always look at the gut. Certainly you need a good probiotic, maybe Digest Shield, which is our favorite. Just unbelievable results on Digest Shield for all kinds of stuff. I just had a guy today who had his colostomy reversed, and he said the only thing that got him by was Digest Shield. He was taking 6 of them a day, and he said that got him by. So I would look at the gut function. I'd use your immune vitamins. I've got one that I sell called the Dr. Rogers Immune Complex. It has all the good stuff in it. And you also, of course, take your multi that has D, C, and zinc. But look at the gut. Look for the cause of the problem. Consider low-dose naltrexone. Some people even will put Aquaphor on it. Eczema is really common.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, my son, his brother, has eczema. A lot of stuff can set it off. I think certain foods can set it off. So you may want to pursue a workout out and just instead of treating it the rest of his life, maybe find out, the exacerbating symptoms are. I think stress can cause exacerbations of eczema and psoriasis. But very common. We see a lot more of this.
What's the difference between psoriasis and eczema?
They're both kind of in the same family. I think of psoriasis as being a lot more severe form of eczema. It's inflammation of the skin. Eczema usually occurs on the inner folds of joints, like inside the elbow. Psoriasis is on the outer part the
Mm.
extensor parts, and it's usually more plaquey. It has these silver-looking plaques that look like a huge patch of callous, dry skin. Eczema is more subtle. It gets on the inner folds of joints, and certainly can get on the scalp. It can get on the face. It can get on the hands as well. They call it dyshidrotic eczema. So, yeah, it's a good question. But they're along this. They're kind of the same family, but they just look a lot different. You can tell which one's which immediately when you look at it.
Ray, thank you so much for this question. I'm seeing questions coming in on both Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys so much. So if you have a question for Dr. Rogers, put it in the comments. We're going to get to every single one today. I'm pumped to have this time with you, man. This is awesome.
You're pumped today. You're pumped tonight.
You know what I think? You know what I think it is?
Is it energy drink or something? You've been drinking the energy drink with B6 in it?
No. One was Yellowstone came back Sunday night, and
I watched it.
I'm on a little bit of a high from that.
You're on a binge. You're going to binge on it.
Well, no, it comes out every Sunday, so I can't really.
Oh, that's right. You can't look ahead.
No. So
I can't wait to see what Beth Dutton does next. She's my favorite character on
there. Rip and Beth. We've got John. Gosh, we got the whole crew. Mm-hmm. We also got Mama B, and Mama B has a question about Avacyn. And when I think of Avacyn, I think of my mom because she does it so much. So
Grandma Mary got one too. Twice a day in general. Yep. 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, 20 to 30 at night. I think the Avacyn really helps. Of course, we have one. I like it. It really seems to help inflammation. So
twice a day, 30 minutes?
Yep. That's what I would do, ideally.
And I think this is right. You and Katie are coming down to the Fountain City office Thursday, and I'm excited about that. You're seeing patients for is it not technically not the first time in Fountain City, but the first official time after the grand opening.
Yeah, I saw them on the grand opening, but yeah, we're looking forward to being in Knoxville on Thursday.
So I think that's right, Katie. I'm excited about that. Y'all are coming in a couple days. Have a great day in the Fountain City office. Let's see here. And speaking of Knoxville, this might be a Katie question, but I want your thoughts as well, Doc, on this. Any thoughts about being able to do PRP in Knoxville? Chuck is asking. Chuck's
eventually we will. Eventually. We just the problem with PRP, it's not a problem, but it's kind of a good if you buy the right equipment, you have to do quite a few of them. So I'm sure we'll be doing that because it's part of regenerative medicine. I love PRP injections. I did a couple today in Kingsport. Of course, we do them in Bristol as well. Jill does a phenomenal job with joints and things. But yeah, PRP is great. My knees are great. I was at lunchtime today. It was too rainy, so Ernie and I couldn't go for a walk. But so I started kind of putting my knees through the paces, in other words, and seeing how flexible I was on my knees. And I can really, sit with my heels behind my butt and go way back. I could barely get in that position 2 months ago before I did PRP. And again, my joints aren't terrible by any stretch. It's not bone on bone. But I was really amazed at the flexibility that I had developed through the help of those PRP injections in my knees. So hopefully, Chuck, that we'll get that going. It's a great. Thank you for that.
Thank you for that kind comment there, Chuck. We're going to try to make that happen. Okay, let's go. I got to get Grandma in here real quick. She's doing 30 minutes on the Avacyn. Should she increase it? That's her question.
Probably. I do twice a day. I think that's pretty typical.
Twice a day for 30, Grandma. I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped that she's doing it.
I know. She's so young and healthy. She may not need it twice a day, but she doesn't hurt. A lot of people that hurt, it works really well.
This is a great question, and probably something we'll spend a lot of time on over the next couple of weeks. As we enter the holidays, foods, parties, traveling, and overall stress of the season, it's challenging to stay healthy. What's your recommendation for staying well through the holiday season? I'm pretty sure everyone here on this live Q&A show can relate to this. What's your thoughts on kind of having a healthy
Well,
holiday season?
don't eat any holiday foods, go to any parties, do not travel, and do not meet up with your family during the holidays.
Watch Yellowstone.
Yeah, hole up and binge on Yellowstone, so you won't have to fool all that stuff. All the stress of. But yeah, seriously, that's a great question, and it's something I really hope to do a podcast on soon. But you have to really kind of be disciplined. I really like to do um, a new program. Like when I used to do a ton of HCG, we still do some HCG weight loss things. Um, it's just gotten so expensive to get the HCG that not many people do it. Are you drinking more of that energy drink? Is that why you're so hyped up? That was on camera. I hope that wasn't a beer. Was that a beer?
No, this is actually my new favorite little what do you call it? What do you call it when Vices is pineapple sparkling water.
Oh, that does look pretty good.
It's very, very, very tasty. But
I didn't think you were drinking a beer on the air.
I would not do that on the air. Come on,
You can't do that. We'd be kicked off for that. You know that.
Well, and the other thing is I can barely pronounce all these words. We're with a lot of smart people here. You're a smart dude. The questions are smart questions, and I have to like read them. And so I got to stick to the sparkling water, or as I have before, I've gone coffee on the show.
Oh, really? Wow.
Which I haven't done tonight.
I can't drink coffee this time of night. But that's a great comment. You just have to be aware of what you're eating and why. You're going to eat a little bit more. Forgive yourself. I mean, this is life. Enjoy the holidays. We're meant to get together and all that. And, but just to eat less, eat a little less of everything. And like I said before, I love to start somebody on a new program around Thanksgiving through New Year's, because the average American gains 8 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. That's the average American. And that's a lot of weight. So if you can get on a new program during that time and kind of force yourself to stay to it, you won't have to make a New Year's resolution to lose weight. So think about what you're eating, exercise more, get a good night's sleep. And if you travel, bring some of your own food so you don't, eat a bunch of carbs. I rag on carbs all the time because I think they're more responsible for weight gain than anything is carbohydrates. But that's a great thought. We are about to get into it. So eat more turkey, less dressing, less of the yeast rolls. Like my mom used to make the best yeast rolls. Eat more butter, less bread. But great question. And you may want to talk. I may have Lucas Smith, our nutritionist, talk about that. You need to get him and do a little snippet on that, Ben, about eating around the holidays.
Yeah.
I think we'll get Lucas to do that. We'll get him to do one tomorrow since he's in our JC office tomorrow.
It's a really important question. And the other thing I'll say is, I'm going to probably, for a lot of these questions, point people back to our episode with Jamie here. But I think with a lot of like the family stuff, going into the intuitive mind and kind of seeing how you can get creative in terms of loving your family and in stressful situations. So I'd watch that. I'd sit around and watch that video with the family. And
I just got a note here too that Lucas is doing a group class on how to make healthy holiday snacks.
Well, look at that.
So tomorrow look at our our webpage and all, and we'll get Lucas stuff out there.
We will talk more about that here, I am sure. Thank you, Mark, for that question. That was it's a
Very timely. Mark's always
very
got
timely.
good timely stuff.
Very
Talk about
timely.
smart dudes. Now, Mark is a smart dude, way smarter than me. He gets into a deep dive.
He tested me last week, and I have that clip of the question he asked last week, and I don't think I messed it up. I think I pronounced every word correctly. And
I think he must have been like Einstein in a different life or something. He's come back.
I love it. I love it. Mark, we love you, man. Let's get
He's also
question.
funny. He likes a good joke. So, all right, D-Lynn.
D-Lynn is asking, I've been taking 25 milligrams of DHEA and 100 milligrams of B6 daily. Should I stop?
No, I take the same doses,
Okay.
and I feel good. So if you're feeling great, no. But if you all of a sudden you're having tremors, dry skin, and maybe some ataxia, then look into it, or peripheral neuropathy, especially the glove stocking type, which I doubt you're having, then no, I think you're fine. So no.
Thank you for that, D-Lynn. Let's get to Vicky's question on Facebook. How do you test for malabsorption issues? 23-year-old female has been on supplements for a couple of years and has recently started iron infusions because of severe chronic anemia. Could malabsorption be the cause? Really good question.
Yeah, certainly could be. First, I'd get a good history on digestive issues. It'd be nice to know what kind of supplements she's been on for years. But usually it's a gut issue. I mean, there's some weird things. There's some weird different causes of anemia, iron deficiency anemia, that are related more to the bone marrow production of it than any loss of blood or malabsorption. But I'd certainly talk about the gut. Now, and if you're having gut issues, I'd certainly do a GI map stool test on you. And then, I might even try some binders. If you saw my podcast on binders, there's a thing called BAM, bile acid malabsorption, that's not too uncommon. It can stem from gallbladder problems or having no gallbladder. Certainly, when you think about certain forms of macrocytic anemia, like B12 issues, you can have a lack of what's called intrinsic factor in the stomach. But yeah, it's worth a deep dive looking at gut function and finding out kind of why. Now, there's a bunch of tests you can run as far as anemia profiles that if you're getting iron infusion, you've probably already seen a hematologist. But yeah, malabsorption could be the cause. It really could. If you have a lot of fatty stools and all, and your bowel movements are abnormal, you have low vitamin D, and those things, they certainly could be a malabsorption issue. And sometimes binders will help bind those toxins up that the bile is supposed to do and move them out. But, bile gets recirculated. We call it interhepatic circulation. Sometimes that's kind of messed up for different reasons. Liver issues from fatty liver, too much alcohol, or may have a gluten intolerance or, lactose intolerance. So I'd certainly start at the gut and look at that. And because that's where your malabsorption occurs. But great question. We're getting some good questions tonight, Ben.
You said this was going to be one of the best shows that we've ever done. So
I predicted it.
I think we're living up to it. So
kind of like Ed Sullivan, a really big show. Isn't that what he said?
Guys, keep the questions going. You guys make this show amazing. So thank you guys so much.
These people that ask me these questions, these are smart people on this podcast.
Very.
I will tell you, the audience tonight, you're no normal audience. You're really very informed audience. And obviously you wouldn't be listening to this on a Tuesday night you'd be watching Jeopardy or something else, if you weren't, you want to learn. So, I certainly want to learn more too. And I learn a lot from my patients because they come with different things that just makes you really curious as to why that's happening. So
I
anyway.
love that. You say that often, though. You say, even like with this show, you learn. I know. I learn on every single question, but I think it's important to always be learning and seeing what's working, what's not, and
Did I
you
tell
know,
you what that patient told me last week? I may have already said this last week, but one of my patients went to her family doctor who's been practicing about as long as I have, and just asked him, "How do you learn all this new stuff? How do you keep up with all the stuff you have to keep up with as a primary care doctor? How can you possibly stay up to date on it and learn new things?" And his answer was the drug reps.
I think you told me that, but I don't think it was on the show.
I thought that was so interesting. I mean, he was just being honest,
Yeah,
but that's probably where most doctors learn their stuff from, either that or they're practicing from what they learned 20, 30 years ago, because they're so
what
rushed and don't keep up with stuff. But even the stuff that you can keep up with, it's out of date, to be honest with you, because um, to get any new drug on the market, it's been researched for 10 years. So it's usually going to be out of date for number one. Number two, they're talking about selling drugs. That's their purpose. That's a salesman. They're selling drugs. So they're not looking for the cause of any of this stuff.
right.
And that's what we hopefully sets us apart. We really want to find out why, not just, oh, this is that. Let's label it this and let's give you a drug for it. That's what's one thing that's wrong with um, our medical system today, I think.
It's super, super fascinating. And you've actually mentioned that in relation to hormones, because, I think somebody asked you, why don't more doctors, know more about hormones, and there's no drug rep, educating them on it.
Yeah.
No drug reps are visiting the doctor's offices talking about hormones. So maybe kind of to bring it full circle, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no money in it for pharmaceuticals. Bioidentical hormones are off patent for 50 years, so there's no money to be made. So they're not going to push it. It's just part of the business world, I guess.
I want to get to this because one thing, Bianca, we've done. I do think there's an outside the box episode on the Avacen, and how would you describe it?
Oh, there's
It's
no
a
R in there. It's Avacen, no R.
Avacen.
But yeah, it's a little machine that you put your hand in, and it really heats your blood up, and it really tamps down inflammation. If you want to really go to one of our podcasts on that, because we've got the guy I think who invented the machine on there, and it's pretty good explanation about how it works. And so you just put your hand in this thing a couple times a day, and it helps inflammation through warming your blood. So it's a really interesting. I don't understand all the do's and if it makes your blood more circulatable. But try to go look at that podcast. It's really interesting. It's weird because we have one here, and everybody that comes in that visits, it may stay the night or a couple of days. They try it. They all end up buying one because it works pretty quickly. You can notice a difference pretty quickly.
What I'll do, Bianca, is I'll email you that episode because it has to be a couple years now since we've done that episode. But I'll email that to you. If I forget, shoot me an email to remind me, and I'll make sure you get that. Okay, let's go to let's see, where are we at? Grandma Mary's asking if she needs to switch hands with the Avacen. There it is.
Hey, Bianca, here's the Avacen.
That's the Avacen.
Yeah.
Do they need to switch hands for the second time they do it?
I would.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules on it, but that's what I do.
Grandma, yes to the switching hands. Okay, let's get to. I saw this question from Mark. There are many health benefits of owning a pet. How has adopting Ike affected you? I
Man,
just want to hear
Mark,
your answer.
Mark, you're usually in there with those questions that are so deep, it's unbelievable that it gets my brain rattled. Now you're coming up with some really good stuff that's making it easy for me to answer it, like the
So,
holiday overeating. But yeah, I mean, I love owning a pet. I mean, I think people need to connect with animals and the earth. That's why so many people do grounding. You know, they stand on dirt with their bare feet. Gosh, I think just having Ike, I love dogs, and we lost our other dog that we'd had for 12 or 13 years. And when he died, it was just like a void,
yeah,
you know. I guess because I've often said it, and that's the fact that um, nobody's going to love you like your mother, and nobody's going to be happier to see her than your dog. So when I come home and Ike jumps all over me, I mean, it's just unconditional love, I guess. He's laying right at my feet here, listening to all this, but it just, it's unexplainable. I think there's some kind of brain connection that we get with it. And it's just dogs are just so, um, how do you describe it? Their love for you is just unequivocal. There's no boundaries or no conditions on it. And it's just a great thing to have, for comfort and I guess it activates your parasympathetic nervous system if you want to scientifically look at it, but it's calming. And anything
yeah,
we can do to calm yourself is good. We live in a world that we overstimulate our sympathetic nervous systems. And um, it's just we're too stressed out, and it's instant stress relief. That's why so many people have
mm,
these stress dogs, companion dogs that they take on airplanes. It's just when you have a
it
dog
de-
like that, you'll know what I'm talking about.
it definitely. I don't have a dog, but I can see that it gets you in a playful mode automatically. And I think
Yeah,
that is kind of cool. Like you automatically go from, focusing on a stressor to, being playful. And look at see, Ike's just he's made all of us
yeah.
super
He
chill.
listens. He listens to what you're saying. He comes on. He likes your voice.
Thank you, Mark, for that question. Let's get to Steve's question here. Are you using PRP to help with stenosis? My wife has back and hip pain, which her doc thinks is originating from the stenosis. Shout out to Sheridan. We love you. What's your thoughts on this?
Ike's are licking me now. He heard me talking about all the love he has to say. He's now licking me. Um, but that's a great question. Yeah, I think it does help with stenosis. I don't inject it into backs. I Can you hear me now? I just
Yeah.
disconnected me from the computer. But yeah, I know there's certain orthopedic surgeons and neurosurgeons that will use it, at times. So I think it definitely could. PRP is almost like a stem cell in a way. It has those growth factors in it, and it seems to help calm down inflammation. We use it for tendonitis a lot. It even grows hair. I put it in the guy's scalp today, and it's really helping him grow his hair back. But yeah, certainly you're gonna have to talk to somebody that does a lot of injections, because when you inject, the hip pain. Of course, Jill does the PRP to hips a lot, um, but using ultrasound guidance. But when you get into the spine, you need somebody that has the C arm and that can
Mm.
look live X-rays. That's what the C arm is, and guided injections with that. But so potentially, yeah, potentially could help.
Thank you for that question, Steve. And I'm putting this up just because I when I think of sourdough, I think of Steve. Doc, did you get a sourdough bread recipe for the holidays? Update us on your.
Well, no, because Steve hadn't sent it. Steve sent me the starter, but it's been sitting in my kitchen the whole time. I need to get with Steve about how to make it because I've got the starter sitting in there in a jar. Now I keep hoping the loaf of bread will pop out, but I think
That's
I've
not
got
the way
to
it
do
works.
something with it. I got to do something with it.
You got to do something with. It's just a starter.
Steve didn't send the machine with. I wonder if I could pour it into the Avison and a loaf
Is
of bread.
there like is there a special microwave, Steve, that comes with that with the starter?
Now, I really want to get into making sourdough bread. I think that's the only kind of bread I'll ever eat, but it's very digestible for me. But
So in short, Lisa, we're still figuring that one out. And Steve's going to help you, but you can only lead the horse to the water. You can't make them drink it. So
at least a YouTube video, something. I really need to get in there and start making this stuff. I mean, the holidays are right around the corner, and I'm supposed to be the one making the sourdough bread for Thanksgiving, and I think it's going to be a really bad Thanksgiving unless I can come up with something. I guess I'll have to go back to the Blackbird Bakery and pretend that I made it because they have good sourdough.
You know what? I think everybody coming to your Thanksgiving might be secretly hoping that's what you do. Is let's get to Vicki. She's asking, what is recommended for low cortisol levels?
What I like to do with cortisol is the stress hormone. It's really the only hormone that goes up as you age. But usually after you've had it high for too long a period, then you kind of fatigue your adrenal glands out and it'll be low. So when I do a 4-point salivary cortisol curve, I look at your cortisol levels at 8, 12, 5, and 10, throughout the day to see what it's actually doing, what the pattern is. It needs to be higher in the morning, low at night. It's what kind of wakes you up. It's really responsible for that dawn phenomena of little high sugar levels in the morning when the cortisol wakes you up. But so I like to look at that pattern. Now, if you have a completely flat cortisol curve and it's not ever getting up there, then the first thing I would do is try to find out why you're so stressed out. Now, some people, their life's been full of crises and that worse than others. And, they've kind of burned their adrenals out. That's a bad term for it. But, and I would try to start out treating it as early as possible. And again, nothing replaces a good diet, exercise, and sleep, and try to and have that ability to say no. And, don't think you have to do everything for everybody. That's why women have more of this than men. They see themselves as caretakers and, take care of everybody else. And then they're last, then boom, just when their hormones are going down, so is the cortisol level. So I would first try like an adrenal adaptogen. And what I mean by that is there's certain herbs like ashwagandha, L-theanine, rhodiola, ginseng. Did I say that one? And they kind of, when I say adaptogen, that means it helps it if it's high or low. So I'd probably start out with that before I would try what's called a glandular, which is an adrenal extract. And I have several people that have to take Cortef, hydrocortisone, to get it functioning. And so I have several people on hydrocortisone, which is a prescription cortisone, without the bad side effects of taking something like prednisone. So you need to evaluate how bad it is, whether it's too high, low, what time it is. Try an adrenal adaptogen first, then maybe a glandular, and last of all, Cortef, hydrocortisone treatments. Which you have to dose higher in the morning and then lower it. So you can be dosing it 3 times a day. But for some people, it really gets them out. It saves them, really.
Thank you so much for that question, Vicky. It really is cortisol is interesting because you don't want it too low and you don't want it too high.
And nobody really, you want it low and high at certain times of the day and night,
Right,
but
right.
nobody looks into that, because when you look at that triad of your metabolism, you've got your insulin, you've got your cortisol, and you've got your thyroid, and each of them talk to each other minute by minute. So most people just look at the thyroid. They never look at the insulin levels or the cortisol, last of all. And that may be the most important factor in how your thyroid is going to work. In other words, if your cortisol level's high or too low, you're not going to convert that T4 to T3, the active form of thyroid.
Mm.
So you have to look at all that stuff, to kind of balance somebody out. You can't just say, here's your thyroid medicine and you're going to get better. You got to look at the other stuff if you're willing to solve the problem.
Great question there. Thank you so much, Vicky, for that. I want to get this from Molly. This is talking about the carnivore diet. She's talking about the picture of the lion or the tiger. Could you eat seafood on the carnivore diet? Or should we ask Lucas? And I think with Lucas, we've done an episode that includes the carnivore. He's going to do a more in-depth series on the carnivore diet. So kind of be on the lookout for that. But real quick, what's your interpretation of the carnivore
Well, there's
diet?
different forms of it. You call it the meat eater's diet. So some people don't eat anything but red meat on it, like Dr. Saladino in his book, The Carnivore Code. But even he started eating fruits with it. Now, he does not eat any fish, pork, or poultry, just red meat, and he eats fruits. Now, he does eat some tubers, like some occasional potato. And then there's other people that do eat those kind of meats and with it. And so it's just different. And if you don't like red meat, then you might want to try the others and see how you do. Again, by definition, carnivore diet's going to be low carb.
Mm-hmm.
But you might want to supplement with beef liver and that kind of thing. Katie and Ben like the raw beef liver. Ben Curtis, they eat it raw, but I'm not to that point. But I certainly take an extract from Dr. Saladino. Really helped my gut. Like if you watch my podcast on carnivore, it really helped it.
It's really, really interesting.
They don't eat sugars either. You don't eat sugar. Sugar's the number one bad boy of them all, I think.
Thank you so much, Molly, for adding that in. It's such an interesting thing to talk about. We're going to talk more about the carnivore diet. Let's get to Mason here. Thoughts on PRP in foot/toes? What's your thoughts?
I thought you went by Paige. Mason Mayo. That has a certain ring to it, doesn't it?
I like it.
You say that real fast, Mason Mayo. Maybe it's an identity thing. Maybe she doesn't want to be identified. So
no, let's see here.
No, I know
Okay.
who it is. I'm trying to make her laugh, but if you put that on there, Mason Mayo, you don't know if it's a guy or a girl, really.
It's true.
Do you?
It's true.
Would you think guy or girl?
Mason Mayo honestly could go either way.
Yeah, don't say it because you may insult him or her. We're just having fun. But
thank you.
Thoughts on PRP and foot and toes? I think it would help. I really do. And you'd be surprised how, you think of PRP as maybe painful shots, but it's really not. When Jill, our great PA in Bristol office, who's done ortho for 20 years, is an expert in injections, I literally didn't feel it. There's a needle that long going into my knee, and I didn't feel a thing. So a lot of it depends on the spinner you get, whether you take the white blood cells out of it or not. But anyway, yeah, I think it's great for joints and certainly for arthritic toes, you could shoot at the joint there. You wouldn't have to shoot as much, so you could space it out and cover a lot of ground with that. And certainly we use it for tendonitis. So, um, you could certainly use it for plantar fasciitis and things like that. Um, I know uh, that dry needling works in plantar fasciitis, and it also the thing that Ernie uses for plantar fasciitis is a sound wave therapy that works pretty good too. But yeah, it's certainly worth a try,
Yeah.
especially if nothing else is working. You don't want to keep shooting cortisone into these inflamed joints because it just makes it worse after a certain amount of it. I wouldn't want to shoot any one joint more than 3, at the most 4 times a year, because of the eventual destruction of your joint through cortisone. But it's definitely a great thing for good temporary relief. Acute injury, maybe subacute injuries, I guess. But yeah, but always remember, always have a good physical therapist on standby because they're the really ones that do the healing.
Agreed. Love it. Thank you so much for that. And it does seem that that is do they call them a pseudonym? Is it a pseudonym?
I think it is a pseudonym.
I think it's a
Yes.
pseudonym.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that.
Is
Thank
that why you wear your hat? You trying to hide? Ben's trying to go incognito too.
No. Interestingly enough, this is going to sound terrible, but my hairstylist retired and I haven't found a new one. So I haven't gotten a haircut in a long time. So just I wasn't feeling my looks going into this show tonight. And that's the reason why I'm wearing this hat. What liver extract does Dr. Rogers take?
It's that it comes from the Nose to Tail, Dr. Salandino's company.
Okay.
Oh gosh, what's the name of that? Katie will probably flip it on here for me. I told her to order it. The name of the company is, I've got it upstairs. I'll try to get a picture of it. I'll show you the bottle in a second. But
we'll put that up here.
Yeah, I mean, it has some pretty good stuff, and I think it has actually got some BPC 157, which is a heart and soil. Yeah, that's a good. Thank you. It's not heart and soul, heart and soil.
Heart and soil. I like it.
Yeah, but I'll show you a picture of it in a minute. But Dr. Salandino's a really interesting guy. If you read some of his stuff or get on his blogs, especially if you're not getting where you want to with your weight or your gut, you should try it. I mean, I know Lucas is pretty hip on it. Lucas is a fine nutritionist. I mean, he's amazing. I sent him a patient tomorrow. He's going to meet with him tomorrow to put him on a carnivore diet.
So interesting.
Isn't that really crazy? No vegetables.
I'm looking forward to like diving a little bit more into that. It's really, really interesting.
Here it is. That's the one I take. Gut and digestion.
All right. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to put this up from Deborah. So you have to feed the starter, Pop. So that's the first step.
What do you feed it with? How do you feed the starter?
Feed the starter. And that's going to be your lesson from tonight.
Remember that movie, Little Shop of Horrors? That's where that came from. Feed me. That big plant that says feed me. Isn't that Little Shop of Horrors?
I don't know. Okay. Here,
you're not old enough. You're not
This
old
is your
enough.
first lesson. Water and rye flour. You feed it with water and rye flour.
Well, okay. I do have the water. I don't have the rye flour. I have no direction on how to use it, So I want to do this right because I really want to get into baking it, mostly for the smell of it.
On air. So we do this show every Tuesday. So next Tuesday we'll be on. How far along are you going to be in front of all these people? How far along are you going to be with your sourdough bread?
I have no idea how long it takes to make sourdough bread. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'll have a better idea next week.
Okay, let's just
for the holidays, I may present my first loaf, and I may put some of my raw local honey on it.
Carol is saying it is Little Shop of Horrors.
I told you I should have given a prize out for that. We need to give something to Carol because not many people would pick up on that.
I like that.
But
I
that
like that.
plant was going, feed me, and it was really kind of a funny movie.
All right, is Dr. Ike here? He came at the beginning, and
Well, he's chilled out. He's chilled out. He doesn't.
Is he asleep?
Well, let me just get him up here. Are we about to end the show, Ben?
I think we're about to end. It looks like we are done with the questions. If I missed one, let me know real fast, and we'll try to get to it.
I think it was a really good show tonight.
I thought it was a great show. What do you guys think? Do you think this was one of our best ones? I think this was one of our best ones.
Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, we'll do something different.
All right, guys, we're going to be back next week. We're trying to get Ike up for everybody. It's not working. He's had a day. There he is. There's Dr. Ike.
Yeah, he's in a good mood.
Guys, thank you all so much for hanging out. You guys make the show so amazing. We enjoy doing this every single Tuesday night. We do it at 7 p.m. every single Tuesday. Ike comes at the end. So if nothing else, say hello to Ike. There he is. There he is.
All right.
Hello, Ike. All right, guys.
See you next week.
We're going to call it a show. Thank you guys so much. Mark's saying this is one for the record books. I'm going to put this up. Thank you, Mark. All right. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're real quick. Black Friday. I'm doing this for Katie. Black Friday all week next week. Check us out. Give us a call. Plenty of ways to get in touch with us. All week, November 21st through 25th, our biggest sale of the year is happening. Definitely take advantage of some of those sales. You'll be seeing more of this flyer here in the coming days. Pop, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
All right. Love you. Good night.
Love you guys. See y'all next week. Where's my outro? And my outro, Ike. Where's my outro? And my outro.
Don't go away.